All right, we should be live and ready to go. My God, guys. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Playback Podcast. Welcome, everybody, welcome. Please let me know if the audio is fine. I'm here, okay? I'm stressed as fuck right now. How you guys doing? This is a show where we basically just talk about movie news and movie reviews and stuff like that. So if you guys are new here, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and also don't forget to turn on those post notifications so you guys never miss another upload or a live stream. We try to do this at least once a week. We've been failing at that for the past 2 weeks. And let me talk about it real quick. So usually, I'm here with my my good friend Hyder. Let me fix the volume on this. I'm usually here with my good friend Hyder, right? For the past 3 weeks, we've been trying to get another episode, another live stream going, and it was not working. This is what happens when you have adult lives, right? I got a kid. That kid got sick. I had to take care of that kid. He got sick, right? He's also busy on certain days, and I'm also busy on certain days. Monday is usually the only time that we got to record an episode. And this week I was just like, you know what? Let's try something else. Let me go solo for a couple episodes. Today's Friday. We got some stuff to talk about. And I figured, you know what? If Hyder can't join, then that's totally fine. We can do this just me, and it'll work. Hopefully. I've been having a lot of fucking audio issues. So let me know down below in the comments. I have no fucking clue. If you guys know how to run OBS, let me just say, this shit is fucking stupid. Okay? It's really dumb. But as far as I know, the audio is good, right? Let me just double check real quick. But I'm hoping that everything is fine. We can get through the show. It's going to be a quick little, 30, 45 minute episode, and that's that. Take a sip of this Celsius real quick. All right, man. We got the green light to continue. I was having a lot of audio issues, but let's move past that. Let's get on with the show. How are you guys doing? Yeah, I'm a little stressed, like I said, but the show must go on. Apparently, we finally got a little streaming setup going. I finally cleaned my room. You guys have no fucking idea how messy it is in here, and you will never know because I'm not gonna show you. Today, what do we got on the menu? So we're gonna be talking about Aquaman 2. The first trailer dropped not too long ago. Right after people were talking about how Aquaman 2 has no marketing, and everybody on Twitter was saying this is doomed and it's not going to make a lot of money. And then lo and behold, Warner Brothers decides to drop a trailer. Of course, right? That's in WB fashion. They just do things how they do them, and they dropped a trailer when they wanted to, right? And that first trailer dropped. And I gotta preface, the first Aquaman, James Wan's Aquaman, is not my favorite. It's not my favorite movie. I actually despised the first Aquaman movie. Now, I haven't rewatched it in a very long time, probably ever since I watched it in the theater. Maybe I watched it a couple times after that when it was on TV. But I despised that movie. I thought it was all visual flair. And even at that, the visual flair wasn't even flary. I just thought that it was all CGI, not a lot of story, or at least the story that they were trying to convey. It didn't hit with me, right? So, yeah, man, I wasn't a huge fan of it. I do like who they cast as Aquaman, Jason Momoa. He's a great and entertaining actor. So I did like that aspect of it, right? But the corniness of it just wasn't for me. And then this Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom gets announced back at CinemaCon. You get a couple first images. I think we have a couple images right here. This image was, released first at CinemaCon. And I looked at it and I'm like, okay. Again, I'm not super interested in it, right? And then that first trailer comes out. couple weeks ago. I think, yeah, last week or something. First trailer comes out. Oh, man, this looks super entertaining. And this is coming from someone who was not a big fan of the first Aquaman, like I said. But when I watched that Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom trailer, that first trailer, I was completely hooked. I was like, okay, they're leaning directly into the cheesiness of it. You got a scene of Aquaman, drying his clothes. You have Aqua Baby in there. You got Black Manta coming back. And honestly, I didn't like Black Manta in the first movie. He was just super over the top kind of villain, but he's keeping that same energy in this movie, at least from what we see in the trailers. And because of that, and because of the fact that James Wan is not, steering into something else, and he's keeping that same kind of tone and keeping that same kind of energy that was in that first Aquaman, it makes me appreciate it a little bit more. And this got me super interested because now when I'm watching that trailer, I'm thinking, okay, I can either take this for how it is, or I can sit there and complain, why are you guys being so corny? Why are you guys, why is this so bad? Right? I can just be like that kind of person. I can be that kind of movie fan. I don't want to be that kind of movie fan. This is what James Wan is giving me. This is what the DC EU is giving me for its last hurrah of movies. I can either sit there and complain and bitch, or I can enjoy it for what it is. And after watching this trailer, I feel like I'm actually excited to watch this movie now. Patrick Wilson, he comes back as Ocean Master. This is, Aquaman's brother Orm. He comes back in the movie, and he looks fantastic. And James Wan has even come out and said, yes, this movie is going to be a story about the two brothers. And I'm a sucker for that. The buddy cop kind of movies. Rush Hour was one of the favorites for me. And if that is kind of giving me these kinds of vibes, this adventure, excuse me. If it's giving me this kind of adventure vibe with these two brothers from Atlantis, bro, who am I to talk shit about it, right? So it's very exciting to see. This is the last DC EU movie, and then we're going to go straight into a reboot, which we're going to be talking about in a little bit. We're going to be going straight into a reboot with Superman Legacy. So Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. First trailer came out. Very impressed. I mean, you can see just the detail and stuff. They're going really all into Aquaman right now, and kind of just playing into it, the fact that it's a corny character, and he isn't like the greatest or most popular character in the DC universe, and they're kind of steering into that, I think. And there was a lot of course correction to try and make Aquaman cool again, especially in Zack Snyder's Justice League and Zack Snyder's, Zack Snyder's Justice League movie that came out. He definitely took a different tone with Aquaman. That was his first appearance in the DCEU. So I am just glad that this movie's coming out, and I'm glad that it's going to get over with and that we can finally get into a clean slate reboot. And I will tell you guys why. I think that later down the line for our main topic of the video. Overall, though, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom looks super fun. As far as box office, where do I see Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom stopping? Now, this is difficult, okay? Because if you are an avid movie fan and you are a little more advanced movie fan and you kind of can understand like trends when it comes to box office, you would think, okay, Aquaman 1 grossed over $1 billion. The second one has to gross more, right? Because that's kind of what you see in movies. You see the first one is very successful. The second one is usually more successful. That's how it's supposed to be, right? Especially in superhero blockbuster movies. Well, I think this one's going to be a little bit different. See, the first Aquaman movie came out in 2018, right? Came out in 2018. A lot has changed since 2018, man. So in 2018, Aquaman came out in a DCEU with Henry Cavill still as Superman, Gal Gadot still as Wonder Woman, Ben Affleck as Batman still. When's the last time really we saw Superman other than Black Adam, right? He wasn't in any films from 2018 to 2021, and they kind of took that to their advantage. It almost felt as if Aquaman wasn't even in the DCEU, even though it was. But anyway, that's besides the point. So what I'm trying to say here is that 2018 Aquaman and the DCEU, it was in a very different state. Now we're already getting set. Back in 2023, we're already getting set for a reboot. We all know that a reboot is coming. So if we put two and two together and we use common sense, and we take a look at the past couple, maybe 3 or 4 DCEU movies that have dropped and their box offices, it doesn't look too good. So, taking that in consideration also, I don't think this movie is going to make $1 billion. And if you think this movie is going to make $1 billion, props to you. It very well could, right? But I don't think it's going to make $1 billion. However, I do think it's going to make a lot of money. I think it will actually make around $600 million. And I'm going to say this, a lot of that is going to come internationally. It's going to come internationally. This is a movie about water, okay? And if we take a look at a movie that made a lot of money, right? A shit ton of money, the most money in the history of movies making money, Avatar from 2009, a lot of that came internationally because international audiences love the spectacle on the screen. They love that stuff. There was a movie in China, I believe it was, don't quote me on this, okay? This is just coming straight off the top. But there was a movie that made a ton of money and became like the number 3 highest grossing movie of 2020. And it was like some disaster kind of movie, right? And Avatar, the special effects on that is obviously amazing, and we know that, and a lot of the money that it made came from international waters. And if we look at, let me just bring it up real quick here. If we look at the first Aquaman domestically only made $335 million in the United States. The rest, I mean, it made about $800 million internationally, right? So a bulk of the money is going to come from international waters for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. And that's a fact. I do think that even because again, Aquaman is so far removed from the other DCEU stuff, and we're going to get into this later, but I think that the reputation that DCEU has, which is a kind of a bad reputation right now, I don't think it's going to affect Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom too much to the point where this movie might bomb. I think $600 million is a safe place to bet. Again, don't quote me on that. That's kind of just don't bet your house on this, okay? That's just my prediction here. But Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, I can definitely see it making $600 million when it's all said and done. Another factor is that it's releasing December 20th, 2023. A lot of the big movies kind of moved. You do have Wonka still releasing there, and you have a movie like The Color Purple. So 2 family films that can make some money, but I don't see those 2 making more than Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. And if you know anything about the movie season, or the biggest movie season, it's usually summer and the holiday season. So if you take all of that into consideration, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom actually has a very good chance at making a lot of money. Right. And, I just off the top thinking right now, I think the biggest movie releasing around that same time would have been Dune Part 2. But that got moved to March of 2024. So really, it's kind of just open waters at this point. And Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, I can definitely see them making a lot of money. Let me know what you guys think. I'm very curious if you guys are watching live or if you guys are watching on the chat replay. Let me know what you guys think. Is Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, can you see them making $1 billion? Can you see them making anything at least? I mean, I hope so, because, you know, it's the last DCEU movie, and I do want to see it succeed. The movie looks great, and I'm actually very excited for it. So bravo to the marketing team. They cut together a really epic and really good trailer. So that's that. Let me know down below in the comment section. All right. Let's move on here to our second topic of the day. Now, I saw something I think a couple days ago or so, and let me bring it up real quick, just 1 second here. I saw this tweet from Discussing Film. Everybody knows Discussing Film on Twitter. Chadwick Boseman and Lupita Nyong'o auditioned for Drax and Gamora in Guardians of the Galaxy. And the source is from Vanity Fair. So, yeah, that to me just looks off. It just looks... How? You know, why? If you don't know, Chadwick Boseman obviously played Black Panther in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Lupita Nyong'o played Nakia, his love interest in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the Black Panther movies. And Drax and Gamora were played by Dave Bautista and Zoe Saldana, respectively. Each of them were cast perfectly. I don't see anybody else playing those 4 characters. That being said, I thought this tweet was pretty funny, right? I thought this tweet was pretty funny because it got me thinking. Whoops, wrong one. It got me thinking about some of the castings that never happened, and some of the castings in Hollywood that kind of seem like Mandela effects in a way, and just look wrong when you look at them. So I decided to compile 5 of the castings in Hollywood that could have been. Let's take a look. All right. So number 1 here. This is in no order, by the way. We're just going 1 through 5. Number 1, if you guys didn't know, Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor, is probably like the perfect person to play Thor, right? Well, there were actually people who auditioned for Thor before. Can you believe that? Yeah. And one of them was Tom Hiddleston. Now, this just looks fucking terrible. Tom Hiddleston even knows that is not right. You can see him here. They brought it up. This was actually, I believe that's either Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon, but they brought it up because his old audition test for Thor leaked. And yeah, if you guys have time, go watch it on YouTube. It looks horrendous. It looks terrible. I'm so glad that they didn't choose him to play Thor, but he was chosen to play his brother Loki, and that is the best thing that can come out of this. But yeah, man, we dodged a bullet with that one. That one looks so bad. Even Tom Hiddleston knows for a fact that that's bad. There we go. Number 2, Cillian Murphy as Batman in Christopher Nolan's Batman series. Now, if you don't know, Cillian Murphy, he is in Oppenheimer. He's probably going to win an Oscar for Oppenheimer as well. And he was also in a bunch of Christopher Nolan's movies as side characters before he finally got a main leading role in Oppenheimer. And he's been trying for a main leading role in a really long time. And there's even an interview where he's talking, Christopher Nolan is, he's talking about Cillian Murphy and you know, his willingness to want to play a lead character in one of his movies. And Christopher Nolan said that he just didn't find the right part. And one of those not right parts was him as Batman. Again, if you guys have time, go ahead and look up Cillian Murphy as Batman audition test. It just looks a little off. To me, it just looks a little off. In the video, you can hear his Batman voice, and as soon as you hear that Batman voice, it's not right at all. And they made the perfect decision to not go with Cillian Murphy here. His Bruce Wayne, it does look okay. right? I can kind of believe him looking like Bruce Wayne. However, his Batman and his Batman voice, nah, it just didn't do it. Honestly, I don't even like Christian Bale's Batman voice. It sounds too forced, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. A lot of people love it. That's just me, though. Anyway, number 2, Cillian Murphy as Batman. Take a drink real quick. All right. Next up, number 3. This one comes with a little backstory. In 2003, before shooting Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 starring Tobey Maguire, Tobey Maguire also did a little movie called Seabiscuit. And that movie, he had to ride a horse. And apparently Tobey Maguire didn't really know how to ride a horse that well because he fell off the horse and broke his back. So the story goes, not verbatim. Anyway, they were looking to replace Tobey Maguire because he didn't want to do his own stunts and stuff like that. And he also wanted a really big pay raise because of his back. He didn't want to injure himself, therefore asking for more money. So the studio thought for a second, not too long, but for just a second, hey, maybe we should replace this guy. Our second movie, right after the first Spider-Man, maybe we should replace Tobey Maguire for our sequel, Spider-Man 2. And they looked at Jake Gyllenhaal to replace Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man. This is a true story. Look it up. Jake Gyllenhaal was damn near about to play Peter Parker / Spider-Man in Spider-Man 2. Obviously, that didn't happen, and Tobey Maguire, he even made fun of himself in Spider-Man 2. They had that whole thing where he falls off the roof and loses his powers and breaks his back. Oh, my back! That thing. So yeah, man, dodged a bullet here. Actually, I don't think dodging a bullet is the right term because I don't know how I feel about this one. He does look a lot like Peter Parker. I can see him playing Spider-Man for sure. But I feel like everything worked out. Everything worked out totally fine. Jake Gyllenhaal even appeared in Spider-Man Far From Home as Mysterio, and Tobey Maguire actually came back as Spider-Man in Spider-Man No Way Home. Fun fact. All right. This next one, kind of a cheating thing because he did technically end up playing the character. Let's just talk about it. Nicolas Cage as Superman, particularly in Superman Lives, right? This is a canceled movie. This was a canceled Tim Burton-led movie, right? You guys know Tim Burton. Nightmare Before Christmas. What did he do? Corpse Bride? Was that him or Henry Selick? Anyway, so Nicolas Cage, well-known actor. He was supposed to play Superman. Right? He was going to play Superman until he didn't. That whole movie got canceled. There's this whole thing about, him not having the underwear to him fighting a giant spider. There's a whole documentary on YouTube. You can go check that out if you want. I'm pretty sure it's free on YouTube to watch the entire thing. And it's all about the cancellation of this Superman movie. Nicolas Cage was supposed to play a long-haired Superman. And it looked kind of crazy. And if you guys didn't watch The Flash that recently came out, then you would not know that Nicolas Cage actually did come back for a little bit in a cameo playing Superman. He played Superman. It looked like a video game, but he actually came back and played Superman for a little bit. And he even fought the giant spider. So we kind of got this one, but we didn't really. Anyway, Nicolas Cage playing Superman looks definitely super odd. Hey guys, if you guys are enjoying the video so far, go ahead and like the video down below. I really appreciate it. This is all produced solely by me, so let me know how everything looks. Comment down below. All right, our final one. Why did I pause? Our final one. This one's a big one. And honestly, not a lot of people are going to be like, oh my God, he almost played it. We're just going to get right into it. Matt Damon. Matt Damon almost played the lead character in Avatar. If you guys don't know who actually played the lead actor, or excuse me, the lead character in Avatar, it was Sam Worthington. But Matt Damon was originally, excuse me, I keep having to burp. Matt Damon was originally supposed to play the lead character in James Cameron's Avatar. He turned it down because he wanted to keep playing Jason Bourne. There we go. Jason Bourne. He was committed to playing Jason Bourne. Thus, James Cameron had to cast someone else. Therefore, Matt Damon missed out on $250 million for playing this character. It's absolutely insane. Let's take a look here on the Variety article. Matt Damon's decision to turn down James Cameron's 2009 space epic Avatar, which remains the highest grossing movie of all time with $2.9 billion worldwide, remains one of the more infamous castings, what-ifs, of recent blockbuster history. Damon turned down the film. Now, this is the most important part. Damon turned down the film despite an offer that included receiving 10% of the box office back end. Now, it made $2.9 billion. 10% of that he would have gotten for playing the main character, which would have meant $250 million for him. That is fucking insane. That is fucking insane. He says, I'm sure it's the most money an actor ever turned down, but he did not want to get out of his contract for another Jason Bourne movie. That is completely insane. I'd be kicking myself. I would be kicking myself for sure if I found out that I missed out on $250 million. Matt Damon could have been in Avatar, and he could have been in Avatar: The Way of Water, both of which are very good movies, by the way. If you guys have been sleeping on the Avatar series, movies, that is, the cartoon's obviously better, but if you guys have been missing out on James Cameron's Avatar film series, I highly recommend them. They're actually very good movies. But Matt Damon, one of the biggest casting what-ifs of all time. Okay. That's all done. We're going to take a very quick break here, guys. I'm going to go get some water, do a little thing, and we're going to hear from a couple of our sponsors. Don't leave. We'll be right back in a couple minutes, okay? right, and we're back. Hello, everybody. Thanks for letting me go pee. I'm not gonna lie, I had to pee. However, hey, you guys noticed that we actually don't have any sponsors? Well, hey, if any sponsors are listening, potential sponsors are listening to this episode, go ahead and hit me up, man. I make a really good sponsorship. Trust me. Yeah. Anyway, guys. With that all down, let's move on to our final topic of the day, and we're going to get on out of here. We're going to be talking about why DC actually needs to reboot. And there's a certain fan base. There's a certain fan base that just does not want to push with this new rebooted DC cinematic universe. And let's just go straight over here. There is... Actually, you know what? Let me go... Yeah, let me just go back. There's a certain fan base that really want to restore the Snyder continuity of the DC EU. And whether you agree with that or not, perfectly fine. I disagree with that. I think that we need a reboot for the DC universe, and here's why. Okay. Number one, the box office. The box office has been lackluster, right? You have a bunch of characters like Superman, Batman, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Flash, and a bunch of other characters that you haven't even touched yet. And these movies just are not making money. Okay, let's go over here to our chart here. Okay, so on the bottom, Man of Steel, the first Superman movie, in this new superhero cinematic universe that they were starting back in 2013. You know, The Dark Knight Rises had just come out the year before. That made over $1 billion. Man of Steel gets announced. Christopher Nolan is attached to the project, and it comes out and makes $667 million. Not terrible. Not amazing either. I feel like if, after The Dark Knight Rises and you make a Superman movie, right, with Christopher Nolan's name attached, I would assume that it would make over $1 billion. But hey, $667 million, not too bad at all. On a $225 million budget. Next up, 3 years later, instead of a Man of Steel 2, we get Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice. Okay? And this is the movie that should have made $1 billion. You have a movie with Batman, with Superman in the title, and it failed to gross $1 billion. It failed to gross $900 million. It made $872 million. Again, it's not terrible. Like, you look at that and be like, oh, I wish I had $872 million. Yes, of course. But it should have made a lot more. It should have made $1 billion. Okay. A little bit later, Suicide Squad, the original. I'm not going to lie. The first Suicide Squad, not great. Not a great movie. None of these movies are, like, amazing. But I did have fun with this one, admittedly. And it made $745 million. This one was a success by far at the box office. Critically, though, not so much. Okay, at a $175 million budget, this managed to make $745 million. That is pretty impressive. I will give DCEU that. Okay, next, Wonder Woman, $817 million. Respectable. I think a lot of people will agree, too, that Wonder Woman is still probably one of the best DCEU movies that they've made. And it made $817 million. Female-led, female-directed. Very, very, very impressive. I can't give them any fault on here. Now, this is where it gets kind of disappointing. Okay? Justice League. If you ask anybody, now, the Avengers, let me go back to just me real quick. If you ask anybody, who's more popular, the Avengers or the Justice League, nowadays, people are going to say the Avengers. And people would assume, oh, it's always been like that. The Avengers were always the cooler. No, they weren't. I mean, if you ask my dad, who loves both Marvel and DC, he'll tell you too, Justice League was always the more popular, big team. And the fact that you make a Justice League movie and it makes $655 million when it should have been $1 billion movie once again, you have everybody. The big hitters. I mean, The Flash, for one, is a hugely popular comic book character. And then you have Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and then Aquaman. Yeah, sprinkle him in there. Cyborg, sure, sprinkle him in there. That movie should have made $1 billion for sure. There's no excuse on that. At least in my opinion, there should be no excuse. There was obviously a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes with this movie. This was not the original vision that Zack Snyder wanted. And I agree. That's why Zack Snyder's Justice League was a lot better. I 100% agree with that. But it still should have made $1 billion. If it was a good or bad movie, it still should have made $1 billion. With just those characters on that poster and the title Justice League, should have made $1 billion. Coming out in 2017 also, when, superhero movies are at its damn near peak, yeah, I think this movie should have made $1 billion, whether it was bad or good. And that's just my opinion. Next up, okay, we got Aquaman. Now, we were talking about this a little bit earlier. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. But the original Aquaman came out 2018. This made $1.1 billion. Nothing to say here. This one was highly successful, mainly because of its popularity in international territories. But nonetheless, this one is a huge success. I will say that. And then this is where we start falling off a bit, and there are going to be some kind of excuses to be made for these, valid or not. Still, Shazam, $85 million budget, $363 million worldwide. Not bad. Still, $363 million is pretty low for a superhero movie. Marvel at the time released something called Guardians of the Galaxy, where nobody even knew who they were, and that made 800, right? So blaming it on the popularity isn't a very valid excuse, right? So I think at this point, this is where you start seeing the reputation of DC kind of wither down. The next movie, Birds of Prey. $82 million budget, only made $200 million. Now we're getting close to pandemic times. Take a look at the date here, February 7th, 2020. Okay, Birds of Prey comes out. Let's just say it stays in theaters for about 90 days, right? The theatrical release. Sure, you can say that this movie got hit by pandemic. However, if you look at the opening weekend, it only made $33 million right here. It only made $33 million this opening weekend. Do you really think it was going to make a lot more over the next 2 months? I don't think so. So $200 million is what it made. And then we finally get into the COVID stuff. And again, yes, that it's COVID, right? Not a lot of people were going to the movies. So you got Wonder Woman 1984, came out Christmas 2020, also came out on HBO Max at the same time. It made $166 million, obvious flop. The Suicide Squad, that made $167 million, obvious flop, even though it was an amazing movie. Huge flop. Then Black Adam came out in 2022. We're still getting a little bit out of the pandemic. Came out in 2022. Black Adam, $200 million budget. And then you go over and it doesn't even make $400 million. For Black Adam, for a movie starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the biggest superstar in Hollywood, basically. I mean, can we agree on that at least? He's a huge actor. $391 million. Yeah, that was honestly a little bit disappointing. The next one that you get, Shazam 2, the sequel, that fails to make its budget back, and we're well out of the pandemic era also. We are well out of the pandemic era, and it makes $132 million. Okay, this is the big one. This is the one that I did not see coming. The Flash. This came out this summer, and it grossed only $267 million. Excuse me. $267 million. And I like this movie a lot, man. I really did. And the fact that it only made $267 million with the kind of movie that it is very disappointing. Insanely disappointing. There are a lot of factors to why the Flash failed, but one of the big factors is that DC was kind of just on a losing streak, right? And a lot of people were kind of going away from DC movies. After Shazam! Fury of the Gods, nobody really even wanted to watch any more DC movies. Blue Beetle. Oh, wonderful little movie. We reviewed it here on the Playback Podcast. You guys can go watch back on our review of it. We actually really enjoyed it. Only made $121 million. Now, granted, this movie was supposed to just get released on HBO Max, right? It was supposed to be straight to streaming. So $121 million, to me, that's a success just because it was, originally supposed to make nothing. But $121 million on $120 million budget, that's pretty much a failure, right? Could have made a lot more. And then we have, obviously, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom coming next. So there we go. There's the box office. Doesn't look too good, right? So that's one reason why the DC universe needs to reboot. Here's the second reason. Critical reception. Now, Rotten Tomatoes, it's not the greatest website when it comes to rating movies. It actually just takes the amalgamation, the summation of if people liked it or not, and it gives you a rating. So that's what the rating is. It's not judging it based off, a grade A through F. But let's just take a look anyway. Peacemaker Season 1, which I'll argue, even though it has some connections to the DCEU, it does seem a little bit far removed from the DCEU. 94% positive. Okay? I agree with that. All right? That's amazing. Okay? But, hey, not a lot of people watched Peacemaker. Wonder Woman still stands. Like I said, it's probably looked at as the best DCEU movie still, and it's holding a 93%. Shazam, a 90%. And you're probably thinking, oh, well, all these kind of look good. Why would they need a reboot? That's true, guys, but you also have to take in consideration the fact that the box office wasn't there also. So it's both of these things combined, right? So Shazam, yes, it had a 90%. Yes, I did enjoy it also. Didn't make a lot of money. Number 4, The Suicide Squad. 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. Again, amazing movie. However, it didn't make any money. So there you go. It's the box office plus the ratings. If those are both well enough, then you can keep going with your universe. But if one is lacking, I think you got to reboot. And here we are. We see that here. Harley Quinn. The Birds of Prey movie, 78%. That's not bad, but what did it make at the box office? It didn't make a lot of money. Okay. Blue Beetle, again, not bad, just didn't make a lot at the box office. Zack Snyder's Justice League, this is different. This was Zack Snyder's Full Vision, and it got released on HBO Max. It has a 72%. Can't even really bring it up here. It was great, right? So it was very good. I agree with everybody saying that it's very good. It is. But it didn't make any box office. And, it just came out a little too late. Let's keep going here. The Flash, a movie that I really liked, a 63%. So critically, it was kind of mid-ground, right? And on top of that, it didn't make a lot of money at the box office. If I see that, this has a 63%, if The Flash has a 63%, but it made $700 million, then I'd be thinking, okay, maybe you can keep going on with this universe. It didn't do that. It didn't even make $300 million at the box office, and it has a kind of low Rotten Tomatoes score. So it just keeps on adding to the point that it might be time to reboot. Let's take a look here. This is an interesting one. Aquaman, 66%. Not great score once again, but it made $1 billion, right? So again, not a great score, but the box office really saved that one. So if this got released, I would be totally fine. If this got released today, I'd be totally fine if they decided, hey, maybe it's time to just keep going with this universe. Let's not stop. Wonder Woman, 1984. This was one of those times. It was COVID times, so you can't really blame it on that. But also, it wasn't that great of a movie at 58% critically. Plus the fact that it didn't make a lot of money. Man of Steel, the first movie was kind of the first movie in the DCEU was kind of mid, according to Rotten Tomatoes. I'm not saying that it's mid, but it's in the middle grounds, right? Not a lot of people liked it. Not a lot of people hated it. It's just kind of in the middle. And on top of that, like I said, box office wasn't super impressive. Okay. Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I actually like this movie. It was actually pretty good. Critics do not agree with me, and box office did not make a lot of money. Justice League, 39%. No way in hell that any Justice League movie should be that low. Also, didn't make a lot of money. They're just furthering my point. Black Adam, 38%. Didn't make a lot of money. $391 million at the box office. Batman vs. Superman, 29%. Didn't break $1 billion with a movie that has Batman and Superman in the title. Suicide Squad, 26%. It did, however, make $745 million, so that's one of those rare cases. But you can kind of see what I'm trying to get at here, right? All of these movies have one thing or the other, right? They either have the box office or they have the critical reception. It's usually never both, right? And because of that inconsistency, I just cannot see why some people would want to have this universe continue. I think it's time to restart with James Gunn at the helm and try something new. And hey, if it fails, if this new universe fails, then fuck it. Just do something else. Wait a little bit and then do something else. You got to keep trying, right? Like, this is huge IP. These are huge heroes. Huge potential for money to be made here. You gotta try, right? So that's another thing, is the critical reception. The tone. It's incohesive. Cohesive? Why did I say it like that? Incohesive. So you have an example would be like Shazam, right? It's kind of funny. It's kind of lighthearted. And then you have the Snyder films like Man of Steel. You have Batman vs. Superman, which is very dark, right? So the tone is inconsistent and incoherent. And I just think that when you also sprinkle in movies like Black Adam and The Flash and Aquaman, you start to get, there's no through line between these movies. And it gets kind of distracting at a point where it feels like, are these movies even in the same universe? Like I said before, too, Aquaman kind of seems really far removed from any of the stuff that Zack Snyder was doing with the character. So I don't know, man. The tone is just very, 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 very incoherent. And that's that. Another thing, your main player, Superman, he's barely even featured in the movies. Obviously before Black Adam came out, where he made a little cameo. Before that, where the fuck was Superman? Since 2017, and for 4 years, there was no Man of Steel 2. There was no Superman solo movie coming out. There was no little cameo appearance or anything. You had a headless Superman cameo in Shazam. But like, what are we doing here? He's the main course. He's the reason why people love DC, why a lot of people love DC. Batman and Superman are the main reasons why a lot of DC fans are DC fans. And even Batman, man. Even Batman wasn't really in the DCEU like that. He made a couple cameos, but that's about it. So yeah, main players not really featured in the movies. Another reason, no leadership. It's kind of been documented. You guys can look it up if you want, but a lot of the CEOs that got, replaced, and the leadership at DC within Warner Brothers got replaced, and they kept switching out and stuff like that. Nobody ever really knew what to do with the DC universe, DC extended universe, because people just kept getting fired and people kept getting replaced. And new continuity. There was a bunch of stuff. There was even a setup for, I think it was Walter Hamada. And you guys can look this up if you want to do more research. I didn't have anything prepared, but I just wanted to talk about it anyway. There was a little bit of a storyline trying to be set up with Flashpoint and Crisis on Infinite Earths stuff, and they just never got to it because people kept getting fired and the regime kept changing. So again, there's no leadership. DC Studios, recently, James Gunn is now a part of DC, and he's the CEO, and he's going to be in charge of the creative stuff. And I think that he can do that. I think that he can be the leader that DC needs right now, to have that through line, right? To kind of have that through line between all movies and projects and stuff. And then my last thing, I think the fans are just sick of it. I think the fans, they don't really like a lot of the DC stuff going on, and you can kind of feel that for sure. It's just time. If you ask anybody on the street, hey, what's going on in DC? They're not going to know. But I bet you, if you ask anybody on the street, hey, what's going on with Marvel right now? I'm sure a lot of them would be like, aren't they doing like a multiverse thing or something? At least they got that right now. I'm not a huge fan of the multiverse stuff right now at Marvel, but at the very least, they have that going on for them, right? So yeah, man, those are the reasons that that DC needs to reboot. As far as my expectations go, where do I see DC going? Well, Superman Legacy comes out in 2025. It's probably going to get pushed to around 2026 maybe, because of the strikes and stuff. Hopefully that stuff gets resolved soon. But I don't know, man. My expectations, I just need them to reboot. That is it. Just start over, start fresh. I really wish they would reboot, excuse me, hold on, I'm about to Excuse me. I really wish they would just reboot fully, but doesn't seem like they're doing that. Seems like Viola Davis is still coming back as Amanda Waller. Seems like John Cena is still going to be Peacemaker, even though they have ties to the old DCEU, and that's fine. Those are small retcons that you have to make if you are, gonna bring them back. But some people are even talking about Blue Beetle maybe coming back. Jolo Maraduena coming back as Blue Beetle in the new DCU. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm very excited, though, because DC has a lot of potential, like I said, to make a lot of money and make good movies. I remember being a DC fan as a kid, watching the DC animated stuff. I don't remember a lot of it, but I remember watching Justice League Unlimited and Justice League the series. I remember watching Batman, the animated series, playing the Batman games. So like I love this. I love this stuff. I just want to see good movies. That's all. And hopefully, in the future, we can get some really good DC stuff. But hey, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments section. What do you guys think DC should do? Should they restore the Snyderverse? Should they bring it back? Or should they just move on and do something new? Are you in with James Gunn? or do you want them to go back to the Zack Snyder stuff? Let me know down below in the comment section. But other than that, guys, that's going to do it for the show. I really, really, really appreciate you guys coming in. Whether you guys are watching live or if you guys are just watching on the chat replay, really appreciate it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. We're going to, again, like I said, we're going to be trying to do this every week, maybe twice, 3 times a week. I'll try to stream as much as possible, just talking about movies. I love movies. So if you guys love movies and you guys, love listening to people talk about movies, if you guys want to join the conversation, come ahead. Come around here, man, and let's talk movies together. I really do love it. So that'll do it for me, guys. I really appreciate all of you guys. Anybody who watched, make sure you guys subscribe, like the video, comment down below, do all that YouTube stuff for me. Turn on post notifications so you guys never miss another upload or a live stream. That'll do it for me. I appreciate you guys, and talk to you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.